On today's FaceTime.
Obviously, being a bartender isn't very easy.
Here is more like a hobby. If you have these 3 points, then you can become a very, very good bartender. You can do a cocktail with maybe caviar.
Tastes good.
Good, huh? Personal life was difficult also. Business more difficult. A little bit like a dream sometimes, no?
Welcome to FaceTime. My name is Lina Gidwani, and it's a pleasure to have you with us in today's show. Thank you, Nestor. I'm going to start today's episode with a cocktail, but don't worry, we're all working. So this is non-alcoholic. So I'm going to try this.
Try it out.
Tastes really, really good.
This is our guest, Nestor Velasco, who is a master bartender from Sweden. Bartending is not a new concept in the West. In China, however, the industry has developed at a much slower rate. But as more and more bars and cafes open, people are choosing to become bartenders, making it an immensely popular career these days. However, not everyone can become a professional bartender. A qualification certificate is required. In China's big cities, such as Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and even in Qingdao, there is a need for about 5,000 professional bartenders each year. On today's show, Nestor will tell us about how bartending has developed as a career in China. He will also share his story about his entrepreneurial experience in Guangzhou.
So Nestor, bartending as a career overseas is very popular. But how has it taken off in China, especially in Guangzhou?
Very slow if you compare with the different cities in China. For example, in Western or Europe, it's an education, it's a professional, and we actually look up to the bartenders or the bartending culture. So if you compare with China, it's different because here is more like a hobby, but it started to be more like I would say more vocational education, Shanghai, and then from Shanghai to Beijing, and then it becomes more famous because different companies push the education in beverage. Now if you compare with the south of China, it's more likely going very slow, but we're talking about Guangzhou. Shenzhen is a city that have adapted very good to the bartending culture, and they look more at that as a profession, not as a hobby or a waiter, like they might do here in Guangzhou. But recently, I would say 1 year back, the culture and cocktail culture started to grow up in Guangzhou. People know more about cocktails, they want to learn more, and that therefore become more like education. The vocational education has become bigger in China, and that's why I think the mentality changed now. When you do anything kind of practical courses, they will accept that it could be a practical or vocational course that you do. So it's slowly growing in Guangzhou. Again, we notice the difference since if you compare 4 years back and now. We have a big group of students, mostly girls actually, which is quite different than Europe actually. So yeah, it's getting there. People want to know what they drink. They want to open their own coffee shop or bar. And I think that's why the bartending culture has become more respectable, and they look up to it because they understand that the bartender is the person that makes the revenue. It's the person who makes money for them, and if he have a knowledge about the bar, he can bring money. If you don't have any knowledge, then the business will go down. If you compare with Europe, they're in a club. The manager itself, club manager, I would say, is the bartender. He's the one who handles all the beverage, and that's the main income. So if he's handsome, he knows how to talk to the people, service-minded, then it will bring business. Same in China now, or in Guangzhou, they realize that if you have a nice person behind the bar, then they can make more money, and he has some knowledge and education, means that he can manage the place.
So what career prospects do bartenders have here in Guangzhou?
Right now it's growing again. Now there is a few local bartending schools. It looks good. It's going up. People really want to study, and that means that the family doesn't actually forbid them to do this, because before it was like waiter, or it looks bad working in a bar, it was a bad reputation for the family. Now they understand that studying bartending, they can actually go to a 5-star hotel, and it's a good brand, and the environment is secure. So it's just they understand the difference.
So obviously being a bartender isn't very easy. There's plenty of skills involved. So what does it take to be a good bartender?
Good bartender, if you compare it to Europe and China, I mean in Europe is the attitude. Everybody, all the boys and girls dreams to be a bartender, because it means that you become popular, you meet a lot of girls, a lot of friends in the hospitality world. Now, that's the first keys. You need to be love the career, have passion. Then of course you need to be a little bit kind of service-minded. That means that main points of bartending is you need to have speed, efficiency, and also knowledge. These are 3 main points. If you have these 3 points, then you can become a very, very good bartender. And then of course you want to become we call it a mixologist, which is on top of that. Then you can do more courses and self-study, for example.
So I guess you would say that there is a big difference between being a good bartender and a master bartender.
Yeah.
What does it really, really take to be completely professional in this career?
Well, first you must have education. You must have an international certificate. From there you have working experience, not in any bar. I mean, you can start with a regular bar, then you need to upgrade yourself. It's like a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star, because then you know all the levels. From there, you need to come back maybe again to this academy and take the advanced courses, which is management, which is more about chemistry, and then that's the way to become a really, really professional bartender.
Nestor, you mentioned the word chemistry.
Yes.
Is that the future of bartending?
Well, I would say yes, part of the future, because mixology is about mix different spirits, right, and liquors. So you need to match the beverage with the food, and this is what's happening right now. It's more gourmet. Okay, again, it's different levels. So chemistry means that we're actually doing with products below 0, etc. It's the same for the food. Some food is very molecular also below. So that's what happened right now. You can do a cocktail with maybe caviar. That means that you can put in a 5-star hotel. Still, it's a drink, but it's more gourmet, and it will fit the place, and the market is developing. People are asking for something new and more advanced, and new flavors, because it's an infusion. You make your own flavors. You produce in your own kitchen. So it's more complex, but something that the marketer is asking for this now. Now, we're going to China or Guangzhou. It's not so common, but we actually one of the first that are doing this in the south of China. We will produce, I would say, 3 to 4 products, and then just show the people what molecular is all about. But again, the taste maybe is not so attractive because it's very gourmet. Again, it's very advanced. So, but it looks different, and it's a show. It's a show, and hopefully this will become more famous in China.
When Nestor came to Guangzhou, he found that bars and cafes in this city lacked qualified personnel. And that's when he came up with the idea of introducing European service standards to the city and set up the EHS Academy in 2008.
This company have been in China now for 4 years, managing the company in different stages. So now we're in I would say, a mature stage. We're growing slowly but secure. Like we mentioned before, the beverage culture is increasing and it's getting more famous. So that makes our business also booming a little bit more. Basically, we have bartending courses, we have barista training, sommelier, and baking. These are our 4 courses we now have in China.
So besides what you offer now at the Academy, what other courses do you plan on offering in the future?
Well, now we're actually in the process of opening front desk and housekeeping. I think that's the 2 main courses we now start to develop. We have future plans to open in Shanghai. Already have a future, I would say, joint venture with vocational schools. So that's now what we are focusing on.
So how did you set it up? And why did you choose Guangzhou of all places?
It's a little bit funny story. To make long story short, I came here to China 5 years ago. The reason is because I was hired by a 5-star hotel to do pre-opening, which I had never done before. So it was a good experience for me to go to China, and I never traveled out of Europe, so it was an opportunity. Now, doing my work, I saw the opportunity of our company back home, which means training. I confront a lot of problems in the basic training, in the basic service training. So we hired a company from Hong Kong to do our training for our F&B. Then I thought, wow, if the Chinese people are looking for outside companies, outside China, then I think that it's opportunity for our company to come down to China and do the same. So that's the way we moved here. We started very slowly. We started actually with consultancy for pre-openings of 5-star hotel, including myself in the F&B. And then I started to know people. And again, they asked for more training. So we opened the first EHS branch in China 5 years ago, actually.
However, Nestor's entrepreneurship in Guangzhou did not go smoothly. As a foreigner, he didn't receive any special treatments or favors, but instead, he faced many challenges and obstacles, mainly due to a difference in mindsets.
Now, that story is that again, the mentality is very important in China. We have our Western mentality. Our strategy was really, really Western. So there was a little bit, I would say, that ignorance from our part to think that we can actually implement our strategy in the Asian market. Totally different. If you compare Asia with America or even South America, or Europe, is kind of in the same line. China is totally different. So we did confront our problem. We moved to Guangzhou, which actually was very much behind the educational, vocational education. They didn't know much about that, especially bartending or barista. It was not, or wine, not so advanced. So we did a center according to our standards, but it was a nice center, but very few students. So that was the problem we confronted. We did wrong. We did a mistake. Trying to input our values.
Sounds like a lot of difficulties in starting up, which is, I think, with any business here in China as well. But how did you overcome these problems?
I think that it was very personal. It was very personal because we have never opened a branch and actually closed. So it was more about prestige. Of course, because I was in charge from the beginning, I couldn't let myself down actually. So it was an intensive mental work. I mean, we from starting having a nice center to close to basically have nothing and start to do the marketing again from zero, from scratch. Very tough. It was very tough. My partners, Swedish ones, they moved back. They couldn't take it anymore. But I stayed here and I was committed to the company. And that was when the research really started. I started to do the real work from the bottom and understanding the market.
So how have things changed from, say, 4 years ago in your company to what it is now?
Wow. Yes. Oh, I cannot even. It's very, it's impressive. I mean, I just look a little bit back and think about the time I had in China. Personal life was it was difficult also. Business more difficult. And then I look again, and it's a little bit like a dream sometimes, you know. You were down, and then you work hard, and you have a center that is twice bigger than the first one. You have students, and actually we also have some Chinese investors because they were very interested in our company. So that was another boom push to our company. So it was, I cannot compare, you know, my joy or my happiness. Sometimes I don't want to think back because it hurts a little bit. It's good and bad experience, both I would say. It's tough, very tough.
So I actually read that you studied in Guangzhou University. So why Guangzhou and what did you actually learn?
Well, it's funny again because after my first contract in Guangzhou, I moved back to Sweden. And well, then I was thinking, well, I want to go back again. But I didn't want to work for the hotels anymore. I just wanted to do my own business. I was more into that with my colleagues. So I think the only way to come back to China was to study Chinese. Many reasons, you know, and to try to understand it a bit more. And then I come back to Guangzhou to study because I like the weather at that time. I like the soft culture, you know, very chill out, very local mentality, which I like because it's totally different. The food is excellent. So that's why I love that this culture in Guangzhou, south of Guangdong, south of China.
So speaking of Guangzhou, when you were here 5 years ago, it's changed tremendously in the past 5 years. You know, what are your thoughts about Guangzhou? What do you love most about the city?
I think that I like Guangzhou from day one. Of course, many changes. I mean, before it was very local. I mean, really like when I traveled from Sweden to Guangzhou, it was really China, you know. But if you fly to Beijing, Shanghai, you can actually have the feeling of westernized. But here was very local, and I like that. In fact, changed a lot. I mean, now I can feel that you feel even like not Europe, but you feel like you're maybe in some parts. Wow, it looks like New York, and more international, more metropolitan. Some friends of mine, or my partners, 5 years ago, they were here. They couldn't handle the culture and the local culture. And the environment was okay, but not too much Western, not much clubs, not too much Western here. So they moved back. But now, they cannot believe when they see the pictures or the movies we do in the bar for the Sweden company. And they came back again 6 months ago. And it's amazing changes. You know, now you see foreigners everywhere speaking French, Italian, Spanish. I mean, and the environment is really amazing. It's like another country right now, another city actually.
I agree completely. It has changed tremendously.
Yeah.
So before we end our show, how about you teach me how to make a cocktail? How does that sound?
Yeah, I will teach you some basics.
Wonderful. Sounds perfect.
Yes.